Hey, what's up? Rashad, hanging with the Joneses, episode 70. It's just crazy to me. Been doing this so long, and yeah, back from my little hiatus. Things are starting to normalize and all that good stuff. Solo today. Keisha's gonna take the day off, so it's all good. And I want to talk about Kanye doc, Genius on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. Come back because this documentary and the way that it came about is to be honest is genius. Dude who was doing a lot of the recording, matter of fact, all the recording, dude Cootie, met Kanye at a party, and he was doing his own thing prior to his comedian. Then he started this like public access show, recording and documenting all the Chicago-based rappers and everybody who was coming to the area doing interviews with him. And then he just like, yo, Kanye's gonna be big, so I'm just gonna move. I'm gonna move to New York and live with Kanye and just document him, which was very ballsy of him in some respects because it's such a risk to do that. Like you really putting all your eggs in that one proverbial basket and just trusting somebody else with your future essentially. And he did. And he recorded so much pre Rockefeller Kanye. Like it was ridiculous. Like even when he was in in Jersey in his apartment, recording a lot of the what would be his first college dropout album, and it was just amazing to watch the creative process. Even back then for Kanye, is a lot of versions of like songs that became very well known and famous that didn't make the cut. And this is interesting to also see Kanye early on because Kanye now is like it's the same but different because you already know like current Kanye is very problematic, and even with his current situation, his like divorce from his wife, and how he's being very antagonistic to put it lightly at times. It's a stark contrast to see early Kanye, hungry Kanye, and him really trying to break into the industry and like really get on the scene and wanting to be something that's people really don't view him as. And of course, is very focused around him being a producer, well known, making beats, getting $40,000, $50,000 for beats at this time, and him wanting to be, a rapper, wanting to be known more as an MC, and having people take him seriously. And this is the part where like I come in and the nostalgia comes in because this is all around '01, '02. I'm still in college, and I am very much aware of who Kanye West is and his production. I'm not gonna be out here having revisionist history because I really wasn't feeling him as a rapper so much. There was a couple of mixtapes he was on, especially there's a mixtape where basically after he got signed, he was introduced. It was like him and a lot of the like diplomats and like Cameron and all of them, and he was on there, and he was like really spitting. I was like, oh, okay, I see you. Okay, you really do want this, and he was doing that for a minute. Then the album drops, and like I really wasn't feeling College Dropout like that at the time. So again, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. There were a couple of songs like Jesus Walks was cool. I did not like Workout Plan. All Falls Down was really good, and a couple other tracks on the album that I really like. So, looking at that whole creative process from him and watching him also in New York. I mean, you put a documentary in New York, and I'm gonna watch it like every time because I love New York City, and seeing him, like on Times Square, just walking around, buying, bought a Blacktail porno magazine, which was like hilarious. Eating Burger King, just doing regular stuff, you know. And also, the most funniest parts of this, it's not even funny, but like kind of sad, is watching him trying to get people to believe in him. because they just not seeing it. Like he couldn't even get signed at Ruckus Records, which was essentially doing like the epitome of conscious backpack rapping. I mean, they got Black Star and all these other people, Pharaoh Monch. That was like the label, and the A&R was like, yo, like we will want you, but the label was like, nah. So of course we know he ends up signing at Rockefeller, and the most heartwarming part is when of course the Harlem Life tour goes to Chicago, and he's there, and he goes home, and gets with his meets up with his mother, and at the time, people who were down with him was kind of not really get down with him no more. Like the person who legitimately taught him how to make beats, who his mother sent to, his come up role model, was straight throwing diss tracks, and then had the nerves being in the car nah man, that's just how the game go. Kanye was legitimately hurt, and it's cool to even see how he was really hurt. And even his boys was yo, you good, man? How it's gonna be? And fam was yo, he just need a hug, man. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, that's really what he needed at the time. He really needed, he just wanted his people there. And the fact that he still even bigged them up in the article, and he still did that, was it just goes to show you how some people really want to see you do well, and some people want to see you do well only to a certain degree. And even those people who want to see you do well want to make sure that you wholeheartedly recognize them for being a part of the process, because he shouted out his other boy No ID, which he would eventually do a lot of stuff with, and even No ID will become an even bigger producer too. So there's a lot of scenes like that where we see Kanye being very vulnerable, and I think that's the overarching theme for the first episode of this is just the vulnerability of a person who was trying to do whatever they can to attain some certain status. Even when he just bum rushed Rockefeller, office, and was just in there playing all falls down for random people, just did not care. And some people all right, yo, that's great. And some oh snap, did you hear that? That was a cool line. The whole, especially, named the daughter Alexis. Girl was oh snap, I feel that. And people just looking at him man, all right, yo, and turn it down, get out, turn the cameras off, yo. So so there's a lot of his drive and a lot of his showmanship in a lot of those things, just to trying to get people to see what he sees and feel what he feels. And regardless of how you feel about him now, there's a certain amount of respect you have to have for somebody really going hard for themselves. And I think that's the main takeaway for me. Even when he went back home and met his mom, after he had a little episode with his with basically one of his producer mentors, his mother was able to encourage him and shift his whole mood. And this is the sad part, because what happened to Miss Donna at the end, and watching him and his boys there, and she's even rapping an old verse, which I've seen that footage before somewhere, rapping an old verse, one of his first raps with him, and just how much she believed in his greatness is the epitome of that parent-child relationship, especially if your child has a gift or a gifting or is very talented in something, and you just put all of your energy into that thing and have this unwavering faith and belief in it. And that's really the most heartwarming and tragic part of it, because you can kind of catalog Kanye's descent after his his mom passed away, and I can't say that it's kind of a reason why he is like he is right now. Of course, mental health has a very huge deal with it. And if you look closely at the doc, you can see little small signs of that. So it's just interesting, man. Again, like I am the epitome of a conflicted Kanye fan. And of course, like I'm gonna talk about this again when episode 2 drops, because I can then explain more about the whole reason why I used to was like all in for Kanye and looked over a lot of the dumb stuff up until the past, let's say, like 4 or 5 years. So it's just been, yeah, it's been interesting being a fan of him and his music and his production. Shoot, sneakers, clothing, like the whole nine. Like he was able to, and still is able to, demand a certain amount of cachet because of, one, his name, and two, just the amount of product, regardless of what that product is, he puts out. And it's crazy, man, because I already know, like I like I sent this to my brothers in a group chat, and my younger brother was like, "Man, we already know how this story ends," and then I was like, "Man, just let me be nostalgic," because that's what this, for me, this is like just nostalgia porn, because it's a time in my life where I was trying to figure out what I was doing, like what I wanted to do, who I was as a person, and this is the soundtrack for a lot of that. So there is a lot of just like good feels for me when I look at it, because like, man, like crazy. Like I remember being, I'm saying, like in New York in 01, 02, walking around Times Square, like I was, like I was there. I can place myself in a lot of these scenes and situations. So it's amazing just to watch it, and be able to have somebody that had the foresight to say, let me record this dude, because this dude is going to be huge, and see what he saw, as in Kanye and Cootie. So that's really the basis of episode 1. And there's a lot of like cameos of people. I mean, we see a young Beyonce, we see Scarface drops in. We see a lot of the behind the scenes people, like Ivan Jasper, who's just cutting hair at the time. I mean, there's a lot. We see, who else? Anya Don C is in this. So there's a lot of the people who are like huge names now, who are just like, just on the real, just like very low key people back then. And because of his influence, he was able to elevate a lot of people, even just by proximity. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting just to see. And of course the episode ends with him in Chicago again at the I think it was Hard Knock Live tour, and them giving him the Rockefeller chain. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so it's ends on a very high point. Of course, what comes next is college dropout, like registration, graduation day. So all that stuff is probably gonna end around, let's say, like 2011, 2012. So, which he had a run, and I can't really wait for the next episode. So we're gonna see what happens. Of course, we're gonna see how it's documented, because we know what happens, and some more behind the scenes stuff. But that's all I got for today, man. Like, thank you for waiting for us, man. If you have been, make sure that you tell your people, like, share, subscribe. We're going to be doing all of these. I know Keisha even saw episode 1, 2. So she's going to be watching episode 2 and 3 as well. So we can talk about, especially episodes 2 and 3. So we can talk about the whole mental health aspect. Because, I'm just a regular guy. She is a whole LCSW. So she can speak to that way better than me. So, again, see you guys next week, Monday, 10 a.m. And, yeah, you guys be great.